And officials say that around 31,000 residents are staying in nearly 150 shelters around the region after Hurricane Milton plowed into Florida at a Category 3 storm, bringing 120-mile-per-hour winds. Now search and rescue efforts are underway. To talk more about the very latest, I am going to bring in our chief meteorologist here at the New York Stock Exchange and ICE, Dave Margolin. Dave, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good to be here, Trinity.
So talk to us. What's the latest on the ground right now?
Yeah, so as you said, Milton made landfall last night approximately 9 p.m. as a Category 3 hurricane with winds of 120 miles an hour. Landfall was near Sarasota, Florida, which is about 45 miles south of Tampa. Overnight, it traversed across the Florida Peninsula, bringing a lot of rain, tremendous amounts of rain, and tropical storm and hurricane force winds. This morning, it has moved off the coast, so it's off the coast of Cape Canaveral, and with it, most of the impact from the storm, the winds, and the rain, the storm surge should be coming to an end within the next couple hours.
And we're hearing that these rain surges are up to 18 inches, and we were even seeing waves that were upwards of 20 feet of water. What would you say now the search and rescue efforts and recovery efforts are looking like?
Yeah, so, that's just beginning now. Now that the storm has moved off, we can really focus on the, like you said, search and recovery efforts. In terms of the hardest hit areas, starting with the storm surge, it looks like it was from the Sarasota down to the Fort Myers area, where we've seen reports of 5 to 10 foot storm surge, which is very significant. The one maybe saving grace from this is most of that storm surge did stay south of Tampa Bay, which we were worried could see a catastrophic storm surge. So that was good, at least for the Tampa Bay area. But unfortunately for Tampa and then areas to the east, they did, as you said, see significant rainfall, some locations over a foot. So there's tremendous amount of inland flooding. That's going to have to be assessed over the next couple days, along with the winds that really kind of stretched all the way toward the East Coast, toward Melbourne and places like that.
Yes, because we're seeing significant damage in different focal areas of the region because Hurricane Milton actually brought on somewhere upwards of 30 different tornadoes.
It did. That was another aspect of the hurricane that oftentimes is overlooked. But in this case, Milton spawned an unusually high amount of tornadoes across south and southern Florida. Unfortunately, there were some casualties. The last I heard that there were over 100 tornado warnings from this system, which is very unusual. It's actually one of the highest amounts that I think we've seen in U.S. history.
Now, this hurricane happened straight off the heels of Hurricane Helene, which was just about 2 weeks ago. Is this going to impact specific areas harder than others because this is just on the heels of this other deadly hurricane?
Yeah, so I guess one fortunate part of this is that the impacts from Milton are largely going to be different than what we saw from Helene. Helene is impacting, or the longer term impacts are across western North Carolina, South Carolina, northern Georgia. And with Milton, it is moving off the coast and moving eastward. However, kind of as you're alluding to, this is going to stretch resources thin, right? You've got a tremendous amount of resources that are already up in that area of the Carolinas. Now you're going to need a lot of recovery efforts in Florida. And it's really unusual to have these two extreme events within a couple weeks of each other.
And what is the typical impact when it comes to the financial sector or the broader economy when we have hurricanes of this caliber that make landfall? I mean, are we seeing any specific changes or challenges in specific sectors like insurance, energy, or infrastructure?
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of economic impact for sure, some shorter term, some longer term. So, just to go over some of the short, medium term, as you stated earlier, there's over 3 million people without power, right? So that's going to take days, maybe weeks. Again, there's going to have to be an assessment here over the next couple of days in terms of exactly how much infrastructure is down. The Port of Tampa, right, another major port, or the biggest port in the state of Florida. It is responsible for about 40% of the petroleum products that go in and out of the state. That means like gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. And so depending on the amount of inland flooding and wind damage there, it could, it could slow down things for days, weeks in terms of the getting things back to normal. And then you have some longer term issues too. We've talked recently about ags and how Florida is a big producer of citrus, in particular oranges, lemons, etc. If there's significant damage to the trees, that could be a multi-year recovery. And then of course there's the insurance markets, right? We already know that the insurance markets, in particular like states like Florida and Texas, we've seen rates go up dramatically over the last few years because of hurricanes and climate, and this is only going to exacerbate that.